அனைவரையும் மீண்டும் ஒரு முறை வருக வருக என அன்புடன் வரவேற்கின்றோம். And now we are moving for the session. I would like to introduce our first speaker today, Dr. Gopalakrishnan Balasubramaniam, who is going to talk about on quantum computing. Dr. Gopalakrishnan Balasubramaniam is the co-founder and CEO of ExceedQ GmbH, driven by a vision to make quantum computing affordable and accessible for next generation problem solvers and innovators. He has built a world-class technical and business team whose agility enabled ExceedQ to launch the first to market 4+ qubit mobile quantum processor. With over 16 years of expertise in diamond spin-based quantum system, Dr. Balasubramanian has held research leadership roles at the University of Stuttgart, Max Planck Institute, and Helmholtz Institute Dresden, making pioneering contributions to quantum sensing. Let's welcome Dr. Gopalakrishnan Balasubramaniam onto the stage to address the gathering.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for the kind introduction and the invitation to present and showcase a demonstration of quantum computing to you this morning. So let me begin with why we need to care about quantum computing. Why do we keep hearing the word? As many of you keep hearing the word quantum computing, quantum sensing, quantum communication, we need to really care about why it matters, like why all of a sudden. Well, the current technology has really pushed our computational abilities towards boundaries that even the current most powerful GPUs are not able to handle the data what we want to deliver or process. So we need to have some alternative ways of computation, and this is where quantum really could help us. So why it really matters? Let's take a simple combinatorially large problems that you have some parameters like 10 to choose from. So let's take a very simple example that you want to order a pizza, maybe 10 pizza, and then there are 20 toppings. So the combination of the variety of pizzas what you can make is about 1 million pizzas just with 20 toppings. Now imagine that you go to 30, it's going to be exponentially large, so you can't really optimize what pizzas to order, how much it's going to cost, and whether the guests will like. So for a very simple problem, like even selecting a pizza, it could be combinatorially very large. Now let's go to another problem called multi-parameter optimization. Well, we want to select to buy a laptop or a mobile phone. We know that with the higher speed, the cost goes up, then probably the weight, the battery. So if you want to optimize for your budget, the speed, the weight, the longevity for a laptop or a mobile phone, it's again a multi-parameter problem that that you have to make some compromises. So when you depend on a digital computer to search the space, it goes exponentially larger. Sometimes you need to just take your gut feeling and go for what you find is most suitable. But however, when you want to scale up and not compromise on the speed or the robustness, you have to go to another kind of computing modality. It's called quantum computing. So let's take what is the difference between a classical computer and a quantum computer. Classical computer problem solving is like a mouse trying to find its way out of a maze. The mouse is going to take a path, going to find a dead end, retrace, memorize the path, keep on doing that some time, and then it eventually comes out of the maze, right? So when the mouse comes out of the maze, we don't know whether that's the one way out. Maybe there are 3-4 ways that it didn't really find this one. This is what happens when we use a classical digital computer to solve our combinatorial or optimization problem. We find a solution, but is that the best solution? Nobody knows. However, when we use a quantum computer, that's like an eagle trying to solve the problem of a maze. It takes an eagle's eye view. It knows all the exits at once. So with the power of the eagle, if we are able to solve our combinatorial optimization problem, that will be the right solution. So how does quantum computers able to do this? Because they exploit the laws of physics, laws of quantum physics. And that's where the source of its quantum power comes in. So there are 3 main laws of physics, which I'm not going to brief today, but please come down to our stall downstairs. We would be happy to talk. So 3 principles are quantum tunneling, quantum superposition, and quantum entanglement. Quantum tunneling means if you can't confine the quantum entity in a rigid boundary, there's always a probability to find it out of that. Or every input variable is probabilistic. Quantum superposition means like multitude of input states can exist simultaneously. So when you are in a truly confused input, then you can directly give this to the quantum system. Quantum entanglement means many parameters you can connect together, so the one will automatically affect the other, and this is why you can get an exponential speed up using quantum physics. Now, where does this really come into computation, right? So we take a problem, what we find in everyday life, we project it onto a quantum system, a quantum entity which follows the laws of quantum physics, and we see how it evolves, how it behaves, how it interacts, and we read it out from the quantum system. So in a sense that we project our problem, we see how it behaves, and we read it out, it means the nature is actually doing computation for us for free. So this is a fundamentally different way of problem solving. And the solutions, what you get is most optimal solution in a very complex, varied problem, complex nature problem. So if you go and search for a Google search of a quantum computer, you would see all these kind of structures, right? Like this chandelier kind of things, very bulky. They have to cool down these objects for exhibiting its quantumness, and because of that, they need massive power and infrastructure. But on the other hand, from XCQ, our computers are as small as this, what you see here. This is our world's first mobile quantum computer. We were transporting in a tram in Germany to our customer site. We are able to make it so small, so robust, and operational at room temperature because unlike other superconducting-based devices, we work with natural qubits. Natural qubits are natural quantum computing elements. In our case, we work with diamonds, precisely electrons trapped in diamond. Because of this, the technology is very robust, very small. As you see that, it could actually fit under your desk. And this can really offer the democratization what we hope to achieve. When a technology has to be very much accessible without fear of breaking it down, right? So because of that, our computers are so robust that we would be able to democratize quantum computing, which is the only way to jumpstart innovation. Taking this cue, we have actually signed a MOU today with ITNT to bring free remote access to our quantum computer in Germany to interested college and universities and startup, and this is just managed by ITNT. So please contact ITNT if you want to have a time in a real quantum computer from our company in Germany. After this pilot project, in 4 months, we want to bring an actual quantum computer, a mobile room temperature operable quantum computer here to Tamil Nadu, and to give you an opportunity to use and to hands-on experiment with this computer. So this is the state's initiative in jump-starting a quantum innovation here, which is one of the first in India. With that, I would like to proceed to demonstrating our quantum computer live here. First time we are doing, across continents, and we are very happy that we are able to do a live demo for you with our computers. So I'm going to run through several sections, but it should be very interesting. So what you are right now seeing here is the interface to our quantum computer. This is our quantum computer in our research lab in Ulm in south of Germany, and this is the screen of this computer. And all these bright dots, what you see here, are so-called electron nitrogen vacancy defects in diamond. These are bright spots or single nitrogen atom, and there are 3 carbon atoms nearby, and this is what is our quantum processor. So we use light to read this state of these electrons and nuclear spin. So this is one quantum processor, this is another. So in this chip, there are many quantum processors, but we characterize and select the one which is useful for quantum computation. So the one in the circuit is what we have chosen now. So now with this, we are going to run a set of calibration on our quantum computer, because the first thing is to really see that we are able to perform operations, what we need, and so on. So now it started performing, and you would see that the progress bar is going to fill up in green. So as you see here, it's a live data being recorded from one single electron, which is held at room temperature in the small box-like device, what you saw here. So when you approach ITNT, that you would be getting access to all of this, or most of it, let's say. So it's about 10%, 17% done, and you see this kind of a dip coming here in the right side of the screen. That is the frequency with which we manipulate the electron, a single electron at room temperature. So, in a quantum computer, we make circuits defined by software pulses. So we define certain frequencies and amplitudes, and you create the gates in your algorithm. And this is how you process a quantum computer circuit. I'll come to that a bit later. So now almost 95% of a calibration is done, and this is going to fit a curve. As you see, it's expected at like 1.84 gigahertz, and then this is doing another calibration, which is a coherent control of a qubit. So you have to make sure that you are able to apply and rotate the spin in a very precise angle and amplitude, so that you can construct sets of gates using them to solve your problem, basically. So this is being done currently. As you see, it's happening live, and this is one of the signals. You have to get some kind of an oscillatory signal, and let's see what happens. Yeah, so you see this nice oscillation here, which means you are able to rotate one electron spin from up to down to up, and then some of these midpoints are where this is a superposition state, a mixture of 0 and 1, and every state in continuum. So using this is how we calibrate and start this experiment. And now I'm going to show you how we would get access to some of, one of our, what you would be getting here in, so after the calibration, let's run some circuits. I mean, circuits are the way to construct an algorithm in a quantum computer. And here, if you contact ITNT, they would be providing you API keys so that you would be able to run something like this. So these are the circuits. I'm making 2 quantum operations on 2 of these qubits, and then we compile that to our native gate set, or some kind of a compilation. And then I'm going to prepare the quantum circuits in one state and make an operation and read it out. And then let's try to run that in Python here in the Jupyter notebook. It's just running, and probably take a couple of minutes because it's contacting the computer and then running the set of operations, and then it's going to show the results. So like a normal, in a circuit board, how you solder components and make an oscillator or an amplifier, you make these software circuits made of quantum, like making some gates, and then you combine them together, and then you give your data, and this could be processed, for any purpose, like searching some number or so. So this is a very simple circuit which I'm showing today, so you can see how to get a feel that unlike a regular computer, yes, you use Python to program, type some lines and codes, but the actual computation algorithm happens in this form of circuit. So that's where you can be very creative, understand combinations, and really make things are progressing. And now after this, I'm going to actually show you a bit of a use case, but maybe in the moment we will see the results should be coming. Yeah, it's taking a few, it's okay? Okay. Up and the right. Oh, next to Python 3, okay. Okay. Oh, 2 minutes, okay, so it's another 10 seconds or so. Yeah. Then let's see. Kernel is busy, yeah. Okay, but over 2 minutes it takes. More seconds. Okay, all right. Yes, it's still running. Of course, the more you average, the better is your quality of the results, and so on. So let's see. All right, it's finished. Now this is the result what you get here. So we prepare in 0, 0 state and make 2 NOT operations, and we should end up in 1, 1. That's what we are getting with the confidence of about 95.3%, which is quite good what you will expect from this for this input. So this is to give you a flavor that in a quantum computer, you create circuits and you run and you see what is the end results. So this is how the output of a quantum computer will look like. Now with this one, we could actually go to another simple demonstration. So I'm going to actually demonstrate to you how to run a simple algorithm called a Grover search algorithm. Now, one of the power of the quantum computer really comes from searching vast data when the data is really unsorted. The data is completely placed random. Let's say take a telephone book. You want to find my name, Gopi, that you would just go and look in GOPI. You will find my name and my number. But if the telephone book is unsorted, you have to look through every one of the combination until you find my name, right? But a quantum is not like that. The quantum is going to look at all the pages at once, and then it's going to pinpoint. So this we will demonstrate. Now, we are running a 4-qubit quantum computer, so it's not fair to compare that with another powerful classical digital computer. So we are comparing that with a 4-bit digital computer. Well, we simulate a 4-bit digital computer. A 4-bit digital computer can count from 1 to 16, order the numbers from 1 to 16, or find some number. So what we have done is we are just doing here a password retrieval search. So we type in a password like UMAGINE XEQ26, and then I'm going to shift enter, and then I'm generating a password list, and then I'm going to run the so-called race, which is a digital computer versus a quantum computer search. So the digital computer tries to go one after the other in the list, and then after 9 attempts or so it found. But a quantum computer looks all this time simultaneously, and in 3 iterations, it found the right match, UMAGINE XEQ2026. Now, the outcome of these digital computer is really probabilistic, stochastic. So let's try another password this time, and then I will generate a list, and then I would generate a password list, and then I will run the race again. So let's see. In this case, see, it found in the 3rd attempt in the list, and in the quantum also, it's almost 3. So now, just to show that it's only by chance, let's go to something like 2027, and then we run a list, generate a password, and then we run a trace, run the race. So let's see where it is here, and then now this is in the 5th position now, but the quantum computing always found in 3 iterations, roughly. So if we check for another password just to have a completion, 2026, and then enter, and then we run the race, we would see here that the serial searching is finding in 4 or something, but here it's most 3. So, and then we can try again, and then we can.
உடல் நலம் போலே மனநலம் பாதுகாப்பான தேசம் பகையில்லாத நேசம்
என் கனவும் உன் கனவும் ஒன்றே ஒன்றிணைந்தால் மெய்ப்படுமே என்றே
So good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, innovators, thinkers, and change makers. Welcome back to the afternoon session of Day 2 at UMAGINE, the platform where ideas are ignited, innovations take shape, and collaborations find new meaning. And today the session is Passion Propels Possibilities, preparing youth for a tech-driven future. And today's speaker, proudly I would like to invite Mr. Arvind Swamy, actor and founder, chairman, Talent Maximus, onto the stage, sir. In this thought-provoking session, Mr. Arvind Swamy, acclaimed actor, entrepreneur, and founder, chairman of Talent Maximus, reflects on how passion can shape purpose and unlock limitless possibilities in a rapidly evolving world. I would like to invite Mr. Arvind Swamy, actor and founder, chairman, Talent Maximus, onto the stage.
Honorable Minister, officers of the government, dignitaries, ladies and gentlemen. I wish to thank the organizers for asking me to be here today, to be a part of UMAGINE and to address you all. I know this is a post-lunch session, statistically the most dangerous for a speaker. This is when your digestion competes with your attention. And if I find anybody yawning, we've decided that we'll take it as a sign that you want to make a special contribution to the State Welfare Fund. Jokes apart, over the next 30 minutes, I will share with you some of my experiences and perspectives from my life. I understand that there are a lot of young entrepreneurs, students, and I think this section would probably be what I think would be useful to you. I will share with you. Before we go on to talk about technology, AI, the possibilities of the future, I would like to address a few fundamental qualities, traits, tools I think that would be useful for you as you take on roles of leadership or progress in your careers. When you talk about leadership, leadership is about motivating the people around you and taking them towards a common objective that you may have. But leadership does not start with leading people. Leadership will have to start with what we would classify as self-awareness. So what is self-awareness? Self-awareness is to understand who you are and what you want to do in life. All of you youngsters will be given a lot of opportunities in life, will face a lot of challenges. You will come to decision points in your life in which, if you have a framework that you can create, which I did for myself, it really helps in the decision-making process. It's not an easy set of questions to answer. So where I would start off is that sometimes we are clear as to what we don't want to be, what we don't want to become, and what we will definitely not do. That's a starting point to create this framework. All of us have our influences in life, be it your environment, be it people that you meet, especially at a younger age. And to me, one of the greatest influences in my life has been my father. I've heard many stories about how he left his village in Melatur as a teenager and moved to Calcutta to make a life for himself. In order to survive and sustain, he did many jobs involving physical labor, was a teaching assistant in a school, was a bookkeeper in a shop, did whatever he had to do to get by. This was also pre-independent India, so he was a part of the Bengal underground movement. And during the times of partition and riots, I heard stories from many people around him who have told me how he dressed up as a policeman and went around rescuing people, despite the grave risk that he faced in doing so. This was never told by him to me, but told by many families from Calcutta at that time. It is a truly inspirational story, a story of adventure, a story of things that I don't know if I will ever be able to do given the situation. He went on to then trade in the Calcutta Stock Exchange post-independence, did play a significant role in the export of steel from India and the import of special steel for products, for large projects, and went on to start Kaveri Engineering Industries in Tiruchirappalli in 1963, heavy engineering, and also was a great philanthropist. Now, this kind of a story, when you grow up with doing the same thing in a 9-to-5 job, doesn't sound appealing to an individual who aspires to emulate somebody like that. It clearly sets a self-awareness framework for me, and it helped me understand that I am actually an explorer, somebody who's curious about things, somebody who wants to learn and unlearn and attempt new things and not worry about failure, build my resilience. And those are the things that I will talk about. So, as a teenager, I had the opportunity to explore modeling for my pocket money. I decided to audition with Mr. Maniratnam for a movie called Talabadi. Went on to do a film like Roja and Bombay, but I did not know at any point in time when I walked into Mr. Maniratnam's office anything about acting or filmmaking. I just was confident that I could attempt and something good can come out of it. I was open to opportunities. I also did not know at that time that Roja and Bombay would become such successful pan-India films, and I had no clue or understanding what stardom brought with it. I had given a thought to how I would deal with failure, but nobody prepared me for success. So I was, with no ambition to be a star, with no background in filmmaking, I found myself being closeted, becoming a recluse, being uncomfortable with the kind of films that were being offered to me, which were commercial formulaic films. But this template of self-awareness gave me clarity that these are things that I did not want to do. And I'm not judging those who would like to go into anything to the contrary, but being aware of what I would like to do and would not like to do is the point that I'm trying to make here. So, in those days, internet and accessing information was not as it is today. So I walked into a bookstore called Landmark, and I went and picked up a few books on equity trading, some stories of traders and what kind of trades they made and why they did it, and some technical analysis, books on technical analysis, which I used to learn and decided to embark on a trading and investment path in the mid-90s. I decided to choose and do films with directors like Bharathan, with director Mahendran, with Mr. Balu Mahendra, and people with whom I could work and learn something that I had an opportunity to embark on, which was not in my original set of plans. In doing so, it gave me a great satisfaction to learn about the craft filmmaking. It also gave me time to, kind of not address the traps of stardom. It gave me time to understand the markets and trade and invest. And also gave me some time by refusing some movie projects to learn about processes and process re-engineering. I've heard our minister talk about what he has done, in his postgraduate and doctoral program, and it was something that, I was excited about. In the late 90s, I had the opportunity to collaborate with people from the US, a set of investors, a set of businessmen who were already running some businesses related to HR processes. And we got together and decided to address the opportunities that were available in various verticals, in various domains, on how to study processes, how to decouple them, move them offshore, re-engineer them for better efficiency in both time and cost, use technology to do that. And we built one of the fastest growing enterprises in the BPO segment, which was not very popular at that time. We were still Y2K. I still remember trying to pitch the business to investors and having a tough time since we were not considered high-end services like the other services companies in India. But it didn't deter us from continuing to do what we were interested in. And we grew rapidly, addressing the healthcare vertical, the financial services vertical, the mutual fund transaction business, insurance, payroll, re-engineering, creating systems, and also using geographical advantages like with India, Philippines, China, and engaging in processes. Due to personal reasons and wanting to spend time with children, somewhere around 2005 or so, I decided to exit some of those businesses and adapt to what I thought was priority at that point in time, which was taking care of my kids. So I decided to start new ventures which would not call for much travel, in which I had to unlearn the way, a management way in which I was very hands-on. I was a ops and a techie, and I had to get out of that and be able to trust people, create teams to which I could delegate, and only strategically manage or build systems which they would execute as businesses. So this journey, which was inspired by my father's journey, which is totally unrelated to the businesses that I do, but in principle excited me to learn, understand new things. So if you create the framework that you want, if you are a person who would like to get into depth, into mastery, and you want to stick to one thing, fantastic. If you want to get into an explorative, curiosity-based career path, then that is what you should be doing. Invariably, people struggle with intrinsically being attracted to one thing, but having to do something else. And also these decision points, if you integrate your ethics and moral values, I'm not preaching this, but what I'm trying to say is, I'll give you an example. So my father was also a founding member of Shankara Nethralaya. He, along with Dr. Badrinath, were the ones who started Shankara Nethralaya, and he was the honorary secretary. And I've told this in one of the television interviews, so maybe some of you youngsters have seen it. And I used to go pick him up from school at Shankara Nethralaya when he was establishing the institution, and drive back home. And one day I noticed him carrying his own flask of coffee or buttermilk. And I remember asking him on the drive back as to how come in your place of business you ring a bell and somebody comes and delivers this coffee or buttermilk or water or whatever you want, and how come in Shankara Nethralaya you carry your own flask? And he told me that is what the word honorary meant. And that is the first time that I learned something like that. That if you are an honorary secretary or an office bearer and you are not supposed to take anything in return for your services, then the man took it to a great length to make sure that he carried his own coffee to his work. That is what I grew up with. That is what inspired me to bring in my own ethics or moral values into what I would call my self-awareness framework, which I urge you all to do. I'm not, trying to be judgmental here again. I'm just trying to say whatever works for you within the legal framework or what you think is acceptable for you and what you would be comfortable with, bring that into your self-awareness framework. And when you have to decide on careers, on opportunities, or even address challenges, you will be able to clearly say yes or a no, or at least it will make your life that much easier. Now, when you try so many different things, and especially entrepreneurs, one of the things that kind of paralyzes you is the fear of failure. So, if you're going to consider failure as the opposite of success, you are going to be paralyzed. If you consider failure as an opportunity to learn, and failure as not something that identifies you as a person, addressing failure and the risk of failure becomes easier. So don't worry about, like, let's say, losing status in society, or it's easier said than done, but if you look at it, there are certain things that we are apprehensive about, not going in a nice car, or what will people say if I travel a particular way, or if my lifestyle is a particular way, and you risk deploying capital for some reason. Now, these are cobwebs and ghosts in your mind. If you can overcome that, and you can assess risk and say and if you're able to invest what you are willing to lose, then the risk of failure becomes that much less in your own mind. Failure only becomes dangerous when you let it define you. When you say you are a failure, or if you take it personally, and if you're going to have an issue with failing, then you will never try. Failure is just the price for participation in something. It is not the end goal. It does not define you. So what must you do if you fail? You must get up and come back and try again, and go back and refer to what you wanted to do and what you want to become in your framework of self-awareness, and keep trying. So resilience, that is what standing up and showing up when you still can't see progress. A lot of times, some of you would have developed products, and you really sometimes are at your wit's end. You cannot make progress. You are overthinking something, or you're stagnant. So progress is never linear in that sense. You have to stand up, look at another way of approaching something, address that you're doing something wrong, let go of your ego, accept that you're doing something wrong if you fail, and look at a new approach or a new way to address this. So resilience is your ability to stand up in those situations and kind of reorganize yourself, reorganize your efforts towards achieving your objective. I can give you a personal example, and none of my personal examples are here to tell you what I've achieved or what I've done. It's just, something that I've discovered myself as I went along life, and it was something useful for me. So sometime in late 2000, maybe 7, 8 or so, I injured my spine and I was paralyzed for a year and a half. I was in bed. Progress was not visible. But the only thing that I knew that could keep me from, slipping into despair was the fact that I kept my mind occupied, because physically I was of not much use. So keeping my mind active by, let's say, analyzing trades or working on a trading platform or playing more chess or reading, and not ever thinking, why did this happen to me, with just the hope that it will somehow get better, was a day-to-day approach that I took. So progress happened after a year and a half, but if you break it down into smaller parts, it always helps. If you start looking at the mountain from the bottom, it is going to be daunting. If you just look at each step that you need to take, it becomes easier, and before you realize it, with perseverance, you will be, with resilience, you will be at the top of the mountain. So we've talked about a framework for self-awareness. We've talked about addressing the risk of failure. We've talked about resilience. We can talk about a lot of other things and personal qualities, but I'll stop here as young entrepreneurs and students for you to use some of these tools. And let's get on with what I would call as where we are in history and why I would think that this is a very transformative time. So I can draw parallels. Every generation has thought that they are actually in a transformative era, and quite rightly so. They did come across and invent and discover things that were transformative. It could be that ships sailed without a good navigation system or the marine chronometer. And then you figured out how longitudes happened and how, you would maybe, it had an impact on global trade and how we, moved goods and services, and cultural impacts were there, which came along with global trade. It could be that. But something that I think would be more relevant would be drawing a parallel between how knowledge was stored and shared. In the earlier days, knowledge was considered power, so you had a lot of people, the elite, the so-called elite, who would not share knowledge so easily. They would keep it within themselves, they would use it to their advantage. If at all there was any documentation, it was on stone or on palm leaf, until the advent of the printing press. So when we had the printing press, books became commonplace, books were published, books were accessible, people learned how to read and write, there was a vast exchange of ideas, and the impact of what the printing press did is immeasurable. It democratized knowledge, and it gave voices to people to be able to write and distribute things. Similarly, we can compare it to, let's say, the internet, where we kind of destroyed geographical boundaries in terms of communication and in terms of knowledge sharing. And with the internet, knowledge was accessible by anybody from anywhere. But this cusp that we are in, which is artificial intelligence or AI, is something very different. This gives you the ability to build. It gives you the ability to create. It's not about knowledge. All the knowledge that is there, available on the internet or elsewhere, is referenceable by artificial intelligence. So all you need to do is to figure out what ideas you have and how you can implement them. So this is a truly transformative age and a truly transformative opportunity that you have, that we all have. Just like, knowledge becomes or came into the hands of a few, we had people with ideas and people with concepts having to rely on a group of people who were tech companies or who were coders. Now, I want to share a personal experience with you, and this would be something that is maybe relevant to a lot of other people in industry, is that I've been exposed to a lot of domains, and I have a lot of ideas that I want to productize with the IP that I have. And I was struggling. I started out on this journey, and I've kind of envisioned 21 products that I want to build and bring out. And I've been struggling to do that in the conventional transfer of knowledge from me to development organizations or internal development teams. And I can share with you later if you want to ask me more questions on that as to what the challenges I faced. But the problems were that I could not achieve what I wanted to achieve in the product development area. And when AI came about, and I knew that vibe coding was in, and a lot of people were actually coding and creating good products or even wrappers, I had an interaction with some of the vendors that we were dealing with, where it was taking a long time for us to get a quality enterprise-grade product out. And I asked them, if there was any impact with AI on their, the development process, and whether they could transfer either cost or time, or give us the benefit of time, because we are impatient to launch, to develop and experience the products that we ideated. And we wanted to have the benefit of time and cost. But there was a lot of reasoning that was given where it did not impact cost and time, until I decided to pull the plug on some of these initiatives and decided to create a team in-house. So after I did a film called Mayaragan, I think which released last September, but we stopped shooting in March of last year, I have not accepted or signed any film because I was keen on creating a system in which I could, transform my ideas into workable enterprise-grade products. So I wanted to create a system which was AI-based, in which I could ideate and I could have people build these things faster. We've kind of achieved that, and I would, at some point in time when I successfully finish developing my first product, I would create a white paper that I would like to share publicly, which would be of benefit to you all on how this can be achieved. Before I'm sure of it and before the end result comes in, I don't want to do that. But at some point in time, I will share those learnings with you so that it can be useful to a lot of you in terms of how you can ideate and how you can move forward. I've done this with a team whose average age is 26 and who don't know coding. And I've done this primarily with people who can communicate well, who can articulate well, who can analyze, who have problem-solving skills, who are willing to take instructions, who are hungry to learn, qualities that are not certifiable in any learning institution. I've done this only with people of that age group, of those, and I'm still searching for youngsters who would like to join the team and would like to do something that I think would be truly transformative. So, in the Q&A session, if you have anything that you want to ask about regarding this, we can go forward. But in the, with time as a factor, let me come to the last section of, my talk. So, when learning was slow, experimentation was expensive, we now have a tool with us in which we can actually simulate all the experimentation that needs to be done. I remember in maybe early 2000, I was sitting next to a gentleman on a flight who talked to me about a concept that I didn't understand too well then, but I can actually relate to it now. It was called, he was actually working when these emission norms were coming in, he was working with one of the automobile companies, talking about how exhaust fumes would interact with converters, like catalytic converters, etc. I'm not a chemistry or a physics person, but he was working on experimenting with different metals and how the emissions would be impacted when the exhaust when the engine output would interact with those metals. And he called it combinatorial chemistry. And at that point in time, I realized that you have to physically actually use different metals. Just like in pharmacology, you'll have to actually use different scenarios at the time of R&D, and you'll have to physically wait for the results. Now, for example, experimentation is instant. Simulation is real, in a sense. And your feedback is on a real-time basis. So imagine the kind of progress that will be made and that will happen in different fields where you use AI for experimentation. So to businesses and entrepreneurs, there is a paradigm shift. You will have to unlearn what you have learned. You will have to let go of your ego and start learning anew. You'll have to find different ways in which you can actually engage and deliver. Customers are now building POCs in no time. In this model that I told you, in which we have implemented with youngsters in an incubated, bootstrapped organization, I was able to kind of build POCs of complex enterprise modules within a few hours of us finalizing the functional requirement document. And I'm telling you this out of personal experience. This is truly dramatic. I'm talking about creating a complex module with complex calculations, needing to factor, multiple scenarios, that would have probably taken about 3 to 4 months by a services organization or a vendor or even my internal team to develop can be done within a few hours. And I will be able to demonstrate this at any point in time if somebody is interested, even at the government level. So, this is again not to say what I have done. I will share it, with the public as soon as I am confident about the outcome of this. But I want you to know that these are opportunities. Anybody can do this. These are tools that are available. At a small fee, you'll be able to get better quality tools. But even otherwise, you'll be able to make great progress. In my spare time, and since I, get a lot of ideas, a lot of them don't work, a lot of them fail, but I still cannot let go of the fact that I would like to ideate. And some of the ideas that I've made have become like global products today because I didn't understand what patenting meant. I didn't understand, how to approach the right people. I've taken my ideas to some people, but have been rejected, and I stopped there. What I propagated to you in terms of resilience is not something that I practiced all the time. But I should have done that, which is why I shared those concepts with you. And today you have a tool in which you can experiment. And the reason I'm telling you this and I gave you examples is that I've had a few, apart from my technology and the processes that I've been engaged in and the products that I want to develop, I had some ideas. And it's got nothing to do with the organization that I run or build or I'm a part of. So in my spare time, I've done my research and R&D, and I'm actually filing for 4 pharmaceutical patents. And I'm telling you this, that, it's something that everybody can do. If you have an idea, go to the large language models and, you have to just be able to iterate your prompts and narrow it down and motivate it. It has the wealth of knowledge that you or I don't have, would not have access to. And you can then validate it with experts. You can validate it with industry experts. And you can be on your way on creating patentable ideas. So the possibilities are enormous. So in terms of how we as people from the industry, whichever industry you're in, have to navigate this, you have to, I would refer to a story and I would urge you to read. It happened, it's from history, it happened in real life. It's about people who have not read this, I'm just sharing this with you. It's about Ernest Shackleton. So Shackleton wanted to be, he was a failed explorer. He did not make it to the poles at that time. And then he wanted to actually embark on a trans-Antarctic expedition. And he wanted to cross Antarctica by land from coast to coast. And so he took a crew of 27 people. And he sailed on the Endurance. The ship was called Endurance. And he went towards Antarctica. But what really happened was that the ship got stuck in ice. And over many months, he was locked in ice and he could not make it to the continent. The ice broke the ship, and Shackleton, who had already failed to not reach the pole on time, was also failing in his next mission. At that point in time, Shackleton let go of his primary mission. Letting go of your primary mission means letting go of your ego. Letting go of the possibility that you would actually be able to do the improbable of reaching Antarctica and going coast to coast, crossing Antarctica by land. And his mission became how to take his crew back home. And it is a beautiful story of something that was impossible that he pulled off, something that was improbable that he pulled off, but in many ways, it addresses how he kept his team motivated, did not allow them to despair, reorganized his thoughts and his mission, how he kept the spirits alive, and what did he do in terms of resource management, and what are the risks that he personally took to ensure that his crew was safe. And after 2 years, 27 of his crew members who embarked on the journey reached back home. And this was in 1914. And that gives us a lot of lessons on where we are now, how we need to reorganize ourselves as leaders, what are self-awareness framework allows us and doesn't allow us to do. Shackleton could have been egoistical and said, no, I still want to go on the mission and endanger his crew. But somewhere his self-awareness framework did not allow him to risk the life beyond a reasonable possibility, and decided to change his mission to take his people back home. So we are all, I think, living in Shackleton moments today. Old plans will fail. Old models will collapse. Certainty will disappear. Leadership will belong to those who adapt quickly, who abandon their ego, protect the people around them.
Quality of the product developed by a software developer and through wipe coding.
I'm sure there are fantastic coders and application and people in application development, and to give you an honest feedback, I see a better quality of code.
So
I see, and I'm not taking this away from people who are in that profession. What I'm trying to tell you is that I think your ability to do QC, your ability to validate your ideas and build faster as software developers, it doesn't make software developers obsolete. It just makes them build things faster. And you'll be able to not focus on syntax, because syntax is given, but you can focus on ideas and concepts and build things better and faster.
The last question is, is your product similar to Replit software?
Sorry?
Is your product is relevant or similar to Replit? Have you heard of Replit?
You're talking about my product?
Yeah.
This is a process that I'm building for myself. I'm not productizing this. I'm productizing enterprise-grade products in other domains. I'm not productizing this process of developing applications faster.
Thank you, sir. You've been such an impression. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, sir. Sir, here.
Yes.
Yeah. So my question, you have crossed a lot of challenges in earlier days, before cinema, after cinema. Then your products you have given. You are having a new model for yourself. Okay. But today the youngsters are having a difficulty to face the challenges. What is your idea for our youngsters, for a better entrepreneur?
I sincerely apologize. Because of the feedback, I'm not able to hear you clearly. If you can just repeat it, I'll...
Yeah. So you have faced a lot of challenges so far. So you have a small injury on your spine also. After that, you have small gap of progressing. You have filled that with the mindful matters. Then you again came to the product developer. Now I'm asking for a young entrepreneurs. So what is your idea? They can face the type of challenges what you faced, sir. Because this today, the 21st era is more than that what you crossed. We have, that is, you said, let it go for ego. The ego is breaking everyone.
I think I spent a fair bit of my speech trying to share my knowledge in terms of, directed towards young entrepreneurs, like you said. The fact that you need to create what you want and what you want to achieve, what you don't want to do in life, etc., creating that self-awareness framework, assessing risk intelligently and being able to take risks, avoiding the luggage of, what a perception, being judged by society, etc., at failure, for you to be able to be resilient and for you to be open to let go of your ego and learn, have the humility to say, I don't know. Every time I go into something new, I always start from zero. And I need to know that I am a zero on something. I might be a 10 on something else, but when I come to something new, I am zero and I have to start from zero and understand the fundamentals and go from there. This, I'm saying, AI was a learning curve for me again. People think of it as a tool. Think of it as something that is ancillary. For me, it is something that has been transformative. The more and more I explore, the more and more I see the possibilities, it is just enormous. Be it for entrepreneurs, be it for students, be it for government as well, it's going to be a game changer.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much, sir, for answering my question.
Hi, sir.
Thank you so much.
It's the last one.
So one last question.
One last question here. So first of all, thank you so much for the 30 minutes of speech and the resilience you show, right, from the back spine to the May arrogant man. So more than an actor, you are an entrepreneur. That's a good goal. So that 21 products you said, right, we can expect that. So I'm looking forward to what you hold, right? So that's what like.
I've been waiting for the last 8 years to make progress on those products. Sometimes what happens is, because our dependencies are high on technical experts and architects, we've embarked on certain products, and by the time we kind of fine-tune those products and make progress and integrate different modules, the technology that we started out with, be it in terms of, let's say, language, becomes obsolete. So if I let 3 years or 4 years go, and I start off with, let's say, for example, I'll give you an example. Let's say I start off with a product on JSF, and coders will know that. It was hot at one point in time, and we believed that, that is what is going to probably last or be the future. And by the time we finished the product, we could not find resources in JSF, and things had moved on. So a lot of learnings like that. But what happens with AI when you develop faster is the technology that you started out with as an architect is not obsolete yet. Will not be obsolete. It's that quick. So,
sir, now AGI is coming. So I'm doing with Sundar Pichai. AGI, advanced. That is Gen A, advanced of generic intelligence. Yeah. So after that, OA.
I'm saying you have even quantum computing that is going to come in. You already have, like, let's say, for example, the viability of having data centers in space. Due to lack of, due to permanence, for us to be able to harvest sunlight for solar energy, and to be able to not spend that much energy on cooling systems is already a reality, right? People are talking about so many different things. I'm sorry, I don't want to make Minister wait. No. So
okay. Yeah, thank you so much, sir. Sir, thank you, PTR, sir, for this awesome event, and thank you, CMOT, Udayanidhi Stalin.
Thank you so much for the inspiring session, sir. Now, felicitation to Mr. Arvind Swamy by your Honorable Minister for Information Technology and Digital Services. Felicitation to Mr. Arvind Swamy by our Honorable Minister for Information Technology and Digital Services. Thank you so much, sir. So we are going for the next session. The session title is The Technology Behind Storytelling, a panel on cinematic innovation. And this session will be moderated by Mr. Maniratnam, Director. அடுத்த அமர்விற்கு நாம் போக இருக்கின்றோம். இந்த அமர்வைக்காக பல்வேறு விருந்தினர்கள் வருகை தந்திருக்கிறார்கள். இயக்குனர் திரு மணிரத்னம் அவர்கள் இந்த அமர்வில் பங்கேற்க இருக்கின்றார்கள். மேலும் இந்த அமர்வில் சினிமாட்டோகிராஃபர் திரு ராஜீவ் மேனன் அவர்களும், கியூப் சினிமா டெக்னாலஜிஸ் கோ-ஃபவுண்டர் திரு செந்தில்குமார் அவர்களும், ஃபவுண்டர் அண்ட் சிஇஓ ஹோப் விஎஃப்எக்ஸ் மிஸ் பிரியங்கா பாலசுப்ரமணியன் அவர்களும் பங்கேற்க இருக்கின்றார்கள் என்பதை அன்புடன் தெரிவித்துக் கொள்கின்றோம். Kindly, I request all dignitaries and students to be seated in your respective seats. So we are going to start this session in few minutes. And this session, the title is The Technology Behind Storytelling, a panel on cinematic innovation. This panel explores how emerging technologies are reshaping the way stories are conceived, created, and experienced in cinema. Bringing together filmmakers, technologists, music directors, and creative professionals, the session dives into the intersection of storytelling and innovation, from virtual production and real-time rendering to AI-driven tools and immersive visual experiences. The discussion will highlight how modern technology enhances narrative depth, streamlines creative workflows, and expand the boundaries of cinematic expression. Check. So we are going for the next session, the technology behind storytelling, a panel on cinematic innovation. And now we would like to invite Mr. Maniratnam, director, onto the stage as a moderator for this session. Maniratnam, director, he's a master storyteller, a visual poet, and a filmmaker who changed the language of Indian cinema from intimate emotions to powerful social narratives. His films speak across generations and borders. And next, we would like to invite Mr. Raju Menon, cinematographer, a renowned Indian cinematographer and filmmaker celebrated for redefining visual storytelling in Indian cinema. We would like to invite Mr. Sandil Kumar, co-founder, Cube Cinema Technologies, onto the stage. Co-founder of Cube Cinema Technologies and a pioneer in media and digital cinema technology in India. And we would like to invite Ms. Priyanka Balasubramaniam, founder and CEO of Hope VFX, leads a global studio with operations in London, Chennai, and Mumbai, delivering high-end visual effects for films, TV, and streaming platforms. And she is joining through video conference. Welcome, ma'am. Hello. Over to you, sir.
Good afternoon, everyone. We have a very distinguished panel here. So I'll start off with a brief introduction of what we're going to talk about. You know, of all the art forms in the world, there's one that definitely needs technology, and that's cinema. You can have music without technology, you can have paintings without technology, but you can have dance without technology, but there's just no cinema without a lot of technology behind it, from the earliest days of making photographs with chemicals to moving forward with photographs on celluloid that became moving celluloid, and then finding ways to project that for an audience, and then finding ways to add sound to that, and finding ways to edit that into meaningful sequences. We've been aided by technology so much, and that's also accelerated over the last few years, where today with a cell phone you can do better quality than we could do just a few years ago with the best professional equipment. So it's becoming much more democratized, and things are changing so fast. But at the same time, we have AI, which is changing our world even more and rapidly. நம்ம உலகத்தை AI கம்ப்ளீட்டாக மாற்றுது. ஏன்னா இதுவரைக்கும் நமக்கு only humans had brains ன்னு சொல்ல முடிஞ்சிச்சு. ஆனால் இப்போ வந்து we have something which is roughly our peer or equal in some ways, and maybe like a child in other ways. So let's talk about how AI is really changing our field of creation of films and media. So I just had a question on whether you've used AI and what do you think about it? Maybe Rajiv, you can start first.
Yeah. As a photographer, cinematographer, and a director, your first step in is how do you use AI to improve and your pictures? And initially, when the chemical processing of images were there, you could just control red, blue, and green, or some secondary colors the moment you digitized it. But whatever you shot was sacrosanct. And if you made a mistake and there was a wire, you couldn't remove it. So when Mani and we were shooting, Bombay, and if you were having riot sequences, if one person was smiling in 300 people, we had to cut the take and do it again. Today, you could erase that person. So it started off with some kind of things. What we were saying was cleaning and improving an image. Initially, you had a lot of special effects, and cinema was always something about being magical. It was just not realistic. And it was adding palaces or glass paintings and things like that. But now you find that's coming straight into your mobile phone and into your Lightroom, and we have been using AI to clone and clean, and you realize it's not a cut and paste job, but it's able to imagine, think, understand the curvature, understand the 3D coordinates, and also recognize colors, patterns, and create patterns. So what appeared to be requiring a lot of human skill, the computer is able to clean and assist in what you have already shot. But if you ask me what you have not shot, that's another set of things. So I think Mani would probably be able to say about the spoken word and what you could do with that.
You are known to be a person who wants exactly what he wants. And AI is something I think all of us who played with ChatGPT or Claude or Grok or Gemini know that you can ask it for 100 options and it will give you more and more sometimes clever options, sometimes stupid options. But it's hardly ever giving you exactly what you want. How do you manage with AI, and do you find it an enhancement or an hindrance?
I don't think you have a choice. It is there and it is going to be there, and it is up to us to use it as well as we can. And in terms of what work we do, it is surprisingly very helpful in a lot more other fields than just, the actual act of filmmaking. If I have a script, I put it in, it gives me a budget. It gives a budget based on where we are shooting, with all the factors taken in for shooting in Chennai, say, and big days of shooting, small days. So it does that, which is quite amazing. It comes like that. Otherwise, we have to make decisions on, imaginary figures. Second, which surprised me a lot is, if you given this budget, it works out what is the break-even point, how much each area will go for, what is the expectation, and which is the minimal that you have to cover. I mean, it's completely on the finance side. It's able to cover that. And then when you come into the creation, it is able to do a concept art is done through AI. Storyboards are done. And post-production, we've always had relied on this, but now all these elements are there for you. It just makes a lot of mundane things out of it. You're right that it can give you a lot of non-specific information, but sometimes I think non-specific information is very useful. At least that's what I feel, because it gives you a random thought which is completely off the book, but it might trigger something else off you. You would have never thought of that, and you may go in tangent. So I think it's a fantastic tool. I think tomorrow, there'll be no film that will be made without AI. That's what I think.
That's definitely seeming to be the case. So Rajiv was speaking about VFX and how you can remove somebody from the audience. Let's ask Priyanka about her use of AI in the VFX space and how it's going.
Hi, I hope everybody can hear me.
Yeah.
Can you all hear me? Okay, excellent. Hello, hi. A huge thanks to our Chief Minister, Mr. M.K. Stalin, and our Honorable IT Minister, Palani Thiagarajan sir, for having me included on this panel. It's such a privilege and an honor to be amongst all of sort of the legends of cinema on the stage. Although virtually, it's I'm really, really excited to be a part of this panel. Having said that, I come from visual effects, post-production, animation sort of background. So technology is an integral part of filmmaking for us on this side of filmmaking platform. But I've sort of seen how technology has transformed post and visual effects sort of from, let's fix it in post, sort of where we all used to carry that in filmmaking, saying, okay, this will be taken care of in post. Rather, now we're sort of coming to pre-production, and technology is enabling us to be a part of the storytelling process from the get, set, go, which includes, conceptualization, storyboarding, preparing pitch decks, pre-visualization, animatics. So many of the things that used to take months to prepare for an artist to probably sit and draw and paint and get those concepts ready, it's like ready in seconds. But like you said, I 100% agree with Manisa that it's, if you know exactly what you want, it's great. But even if it throws things that you don't want, it's good because you know exactly what you don't want. And that's where negative prompting is there. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how many of you in the audience know about negative prompting. And negative prompting is pretty much telling the computer and the AI tool what you don't want to see in the image. And prompting is what you want to see in the image. So we all know that from text to image and image to video is sort of the pipeline that AI filmmaking usually uses. Although in visual effects, it's not yet fully ready for integration into the mainstream production. But where we see and use a lot of AI in visual effects is doing the grunt work, like the small tasks such as rotoscoping. It's pretty much cutting out objects out of an image and placing other things such as backgrounds and images or plates at the back of actors. So we're able to seamlessly do that, which used to take probably 10 days. It's going to take somebody 4 days to do it. It's not completely eliminating human involvement because this is technology at the end of it, and you need human a pair of eyes to QC it, make sure the final pixels are ready for the film to be 100% accurate. So we do use a lot of it in post-production for de-aging. For example, an actor wants to look way younger than where he is at now. There is also, face replacements where stunt actors are performing, and then you need motion capture and other softwares to replace the face of these actors. There is also a very, very what do I say? It's a debatable, subject that you do have AI getting the people who are deceased actors back on the screen. So that's also a possibility where filmmakers are able to tap into that and get actors' performance back. Although we don't know, AI has its limitations about human emotions and feelings. AI hasn't lived through people's lives. It hasn't loved and lost and grieved through human experiences. So it's very hard for AI to bring performances up to like the 100% that any director would want to see on screen. But there are obviously these limitations. However, what AI is really good for is technical expertise. So anything that cuts down time frame for post-production from sort of conceptualization all the way to final pixel deliveries. So we do use a lot of AI tools, and we are constantly curious about what the new tools are, because every day there's one tool that keeps coming out. And I'd say that the future belongs to people who are just going to stay curious, if not like start adapting, but you have to stay curious, at least to know what's out there that could make your job simpler and easier and cost effective. Having said that, I don't think AI will replace filmmaking, but yeah, that's my take on it.
I think you're right that there is all the easy things that AI is helping us, and definitely one area which I have to point out is in localizing films for different regions. So taking a Telugu film and making it Tamil, or making a Tamil film into English or into Hindi.